Hi, everyone. Very good evening to all of you in India. And yes, very good morning there in USA. Extremely sorry, guys, by I think 15 minutes because we had some technical issue. And that was the only reason that we had to cancel the previous schedule of the live. So here, this is Bhautik Sheth from iVipnan Digital Marketing Services in Surat, Gujarat, India. Guys, we are already late, so I'm not going to waste much time of yours. And let us welcome Hitesh Patel from USA. He is there in North Carolina. He is working with Lenovo. Welcome, Hitesh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to, go live and, talk to a couple of people. That's nice. It's perfect.
That the perfect thing is right that Hitesh is there in USA from last couple of years now. I think more than a decade, and believe me, guys, he's doing extremely good job over there. And it's the best thing today that he's going to speak on the topic, which is indeed required to understand from all of us because we are living in an era of e-commerce. So when we are living in an era of e-commerce, we tend to buy so many products, so many services, and at the same time, we are least concerned about how our data is being used. So guys, what we are going to do today, like we are going to understand how customer profiling is being created on e-commerce. So Hitesh has some expertise in this field, and he's going to tell us how the companies, e-commerce companies, they create the customer profiling. So Hitesh, first of all, just tell me and my viewers that what do you mean by customer profiling and how does it work?
Okay. So again, it's a very vast subject and everything. And as you mentioned earlier, also, this is a subject which, I think there's nothing wrong of, anyone getting familiar with those things because we are living in a digital era or something. So this is really important topic. And believe me, it's really easy to understand. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose, let's say, all of us might have this experience that, we go to some places like, you go to Big Bazaar in there, you go to McDonald's, or you go to, any website or something. They ask you to register first. Now, if you think about it,
Right.
not 10 years back when we were, we were in a college or something, not 10 years back, many of the company would ask you to register. Like you go to buy a scooter, you go buy a car, you go to, any place. Why do you think that it is very important? That's what we call it as in user profiling. That's a very initial phase of user profiling or something. Now, I'll give you a second example. Suppose, nowadays there's a lot of company who promotes, which we call it as in lucky draw. Which we call it as in
Yeah,
waffle tickets or something. So what they do is they'll ask you to put the
absolutely.
basic information into it, your name, your age, your income, maybe many of the cases, and then they ask you to be part of the lucky draw, and then they'll give some bonus or something. Now, if you think about it, why in this age and time you're seeing those kind of thing more and more? You go everywhere. That's called as in user profiling. I mean, technical
Right.
term is user profiling. All they wanted to do
Right.
it is they wanted to collect the data of as many users as possible. That's what they wanted to do it. Um, now that's a very simple explanation. How does that sound to start with?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, it is like we have some people over here in India, as you know, that these people normally they go and purchase something on online. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what confuses them that even though when they are suppose they are going and they are trying to purchase some shirt, so at the same time because of some data mining and all that, they tend to see so many other products. Now, even
Right.
though it is not planned purchasing, you go and you want to purchase the shirt. At the same time, you see the ties there, and pins are there, and trousers and jeans are there. They tend to purchase it. Now, ultimately, what happens? They get confused. That what is the reason? How this? They know that this should be purchased from my side. So, how does this data mining and big data works?
So excellent question, because I think we all are being in the situation where we tend to go some places, or let's take an example of a smartphone, right? We take a smartphone and
Right.
it gives you a bundle of abundant of information and abundant of suggestions saying that buy this, buy that, and we sometimes it is very annoying. So what we do is we kind of turn off this suggestion, and that's where user profiling came in. I would say 5 years back, they started talking about user profiling. So all the big companies started collecting data, but to understand the data is very important, and that's where, I mean,
Hmm.
we might be familiar with the word called big data. Now, big data is
Yeah.
big data is not even a technology. Big data is basically a problem. And the problem is
Okay.
you have a lot of data, and now based upon a lot of data, you just broadcast everything what you have it without even understanding the data because it's too complex to understand. So let's start. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose let's say you're watching an IPL, right? IPL is around the corner or something. Let's say you are watching an IPL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you get
Yeah.
and we know that sometimes how annoying it is to see that the over has just finished and you start getting all those advertisement and everything. Now I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Suppose let's say not to brand any particular thing, but just for the sake of example, I'm just taking one brand name. Suppose let's say you're a big fan of Coke, and there is an advertisement of
Yeah.
Pepsi which is coming all every now and then. Now what you will do is you'll just
Hmm.
mute that advertisement, or you just turn off by the fact that hey, they're just giving an advertisement which doesn't correlate with me, right? So
Absolutely.
so if you can hang in there, what I'm trying to get to is when you do an advertisement on a broadcast way, then you don't understand your customer really well because it's too complex of an information to understand. So you'll just broadcast the majority of thing. That's where I think
Right.
this topic of digital marketing versus user profiling goes hand to hand, because I'll tell you why this days
Absolutely.
digital marketing or user profiling is required is you don't wanted to annoy someone, you don't wanted to annoy your user. So what you wanted to do is you wanted to understand your user really well, and then you wanted to push that only those kind of advertisement that is applicable to the user now, and you want that to be done in automated way, but because otherwise you go to, you guys in Surat, I'm familiar a little bit with Surat. I know that you go to different market, that what we have it in one particular sari shop or something, you would have five people who would be able to give you a suggestion. But in digital world you cannot do
Right.
that. Your
Right.
user, what do you call, projection of a user is probably 1 million user or 2 million user or something, so you cannot connect to all
Absolutely.
those. So you have to find an
Hmm.
automated way where you can connect with all
Hmm.
those users. That's where in
Hmm.
digital marketing user profiling comes in. It is
It is.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hitesh, like, see, like what happens that, as a digital marketer, there are people who understand the importance of the remarketing. So when we do remarketing, we know that we are targeting those people who are visiting to our website, and
Mhm.
that is the role of the code of the Google, the pixel, the code of the Facebook. So these are the tags and codes we put it on our website. Now whensoever somebody is coming and visiting our website, the cookies, they capture, like the users. And then what happens that these people goes to so many other websites, and it shows the advertisement of the company
Okay.
business. Now the thing is that we know that we can target people, but even we are clueless that how does all these companies like Google or maybe Facebook decide on the interest of the people, because we tend to visit so many we tend to visit so many different topics. So is there any particular way, if you can throw some light, that this company the interest of the people?
Right. So that's why what it does is, I think it's an excellent point, because we are talking about couple of elements in this process where we are talking about collecting an information and giving a suggestion. That's a whole process.
Absolutely.
But
Hmm.
in between that process, there are certain elements which actually massage those information and then come to a conclusion that this needs to be advertised. That's where probably
Okay.
user mining, as you mentioned earlier, or user profiling comes in.
Hmm.
So what
Hmm.
happens is you
Hmm.
go to a browser. So let's say you are browsing on Chrome, or let's say you are working with an app or something, right? That app
Hmm.
is,
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
most of the time what we do is we register to an app, and there is a checkbox which says that I agree. Most of the people don't read that. Most of the people just check and they just go
Right.
ahead. In that checkbox there are
Right.
many of the information saying that, hey, we are collecting your information, we know where you are going, we know what you are searching through Amazon, what you're searching, and then we are going to sell this to someone else. So these companies, those
Right.
browsers and those app, all they do is they collect information. They don't do nothing. They just collect an information, they just keep it to you. So probably Google is not so
Right.
interested in showing that advertisement or something. What Google does is
Hmm.
Google gets your
Hmm.
information saying that you went to Amazon first, and then you check the same thing on the Flipkart, and then from Flipkart you went to this.
Hmm.
So Google is collecting that
Hmm.
information, and then they will sell this information to Amazon and Flipkart. So
Hmm.
let's say,
Hmm. Hmm.
sticking
Hmm.
to this example, that so basically I so Amazon, Google, and those things, or the app and browser just collect the information. Massaging that
Hmm.
information is goes up to the sellers. So in this case, the
Right.
Flipkart and Amazon are the basically sellers. So they
Right.
will have those AI people, artificial intelligence algorithm build people or something. They'll get this information and they'll try to
Right.
come up with
Right.
an important information out of it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
once they
Hmm.
have the
Hmm.
important information, they'll advertise that thing. So Amazon will go back to Google again and say that, hey, you know what, how much of a space you have it on your website? And they say, hey, you know what,
Hmm.
right side on a right margin or the left margin, I have
Hmm.
that information panel. I wanted to display
Hmm.
this information for this particular user, and they'll take the money out of it.
Hmm.
So in this
Hmm. Hmm.
particular whole process, there are people who collect the data, there are people who massage through the data, the massage data that is been sold to the company who are the sellers, and then there are
Right.
advertisers also. So you might have realized it's not
Right.
only on Amazon or a Facebook. You go to Divya Bhaskar and you
Hmm.
see information. Actually, you know what, it happened to be one
Exactly.
of my friend who is in US. I happened to talk with him. He said that, I was trying to buy a Prius, and he's a Gujarati
Hmm.
guy, right? So he log into, this Divya Bhaskar, and he'll searching through a website. He said that now
Hmm.
Divya Bhaskar is showing me an information about Prius. Now, Divya
Hmm.
Bhaskar is based in Gujarat. It is based in
Hmm.
Ahmedabad. How come they know that,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and what is the importance of, showing that information over here? But we need to understand
Right.
that, selling that information is someone else. So those are four
Exactly.
elements. These are four elements which basically complete this process. Number one is collecting the
Hmm.
data.
Hmm. Hmm.
Number two is massaging the data.
Hmm.
Number three is important information, sell it to someone else, and the seller would collect this important information and sell you the product, something like that.
Okay, through. I was just going through one of the articles today, and it was something related to like it was saying that Facebook is programming you. You have been programmed by Facebook. So I personally think that it shouldn't be only Facebook. Actually, we all are programmed by maybe Facebook, maybe Google, maybe Amazon, Flipkart. We all are programmed. So now, question is, recently Google they have said that they are going to launch the ad blocker in Chrome itself.
Chrome
So
itself.
now imagine that, yeah. So now if Chrome has ad blocker, at the same time Google is promoting their own Google AdWords. So do you think that this will help Google to survive with their Google AdWords? Because what I am assuming that Chrome will stop showing the ad of the third party platforms, but I think it will not affect the ads coming from the Google AdWords. So what's your take? Like, is it going to be like that, that in the future, every browser will stop showing, blocking the ads, and then even if this data is not going to help this user profile because browser is stopping everyone?
Um, I think that's a really interesting subject that in IT industry we've been talking about it, that those were the base places where we used to put the advertisement and everything. But I'll tell you what, there are two reasons which I think that Google would not be get affected by that thing, because it's Google. They are very innovative
Hmm.
people. That's my personal take. They are very innovative people. What they do is they'll find a way that how it can be done better, without
Right.
losing the user, how it can be better. So that's number one. And number two is, we have seen, I mean, we were lucky enough that we got into this industry 15 years back, introduced with computer, and we have seen this phases every 10 years. Now it become happen to have 5 years, the phase changes kind of thing. That
Right.
how the advertisement changed from TV to now how advertisement and coming back to browsers, and then from browsers from Facebook, and Facebook to YouTube, and YouTube to somewhere
Hmm.
else. So my personal take on this particular thing is, I don't think that Google or companies like that who blocks the advertisement or anything are going to, or they would have a question about surviving or survival or something. I think they should be fine, because there are
Hmm.
new ways which are coming up. Like, I'll give you an example. Suppose, let's say,
Hmm. Hmm.
we I mean, it's not that we didn't have the ad blockers before Google introduced. We do have ABP and those kind of ad blockers before that
Hmm.
also, which works as an extension of
Hmm.
Google Chrome. But Google
Hmm.
was fine. The only thing is, it's gonna fine tune your experience on the web browser, but at the same time they'll find a way. Suppose, let's
Right.
say, you are not going to stop using Gmail, You are not going to
Right.
stop using Google Maps. You're not going to stop
Absolutely.
using, so they have this ecosystem which is very humongous. So companies like
Absolutely.
that, and that's where they started doing a user profiling. That, why user profiling is very critical in these days, is because they wanted to capture a user and they wanted to keep him within that ecosystem. That's why Apple has their,
Right.
music also, Apple TV also, Apple Pad also, and then Apple phone
Hmm.
also. And that's what Google is trying to
Hmm.
do. That's what Lenovo is trying to do. So big company, they wanted to create their ecosystem. So even if you are impacted,
Right.
or even if you are taking a hit on one side, you're making sure that, you will cover it up with another aspect or the other ecosystem thing. So let's say in this example, if I wanted to, answer on this one, I would say that by ad block, let's say on the browser, Google may take an hit, but then at the same time, they have
Hmm.
their app, they have their Google Map, which eventually people are going to use it anyways. They'll put up something
Hmm.
there. So
Hmm.
something like that, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Hitesh, like, do you know anything related to? There's a word called clickstream data. It's something where the user navigates through the site, and these companies they literally track your navigation. So like there are so many clicktail kind of softwares are
Yeah,
available, which are
yeah,
normally very costly. Like if we are
right,
living in India, it is
right,
almost impossible for an agency like us to buy the clicktail. But
right,
it always fascinates me that how does it create the cloud, and it shows you that these are heat maps, so the people are putting their mouse, their pointer, these are the points where maximum people are clicking there, so you
right,
should focus on this part of the
yeah,
website, or maybe
right,
this is the part where people are not going at all, so you just try to optimize this part of your website. So data, so can
right.
you throw some light how clickstream data works, and is there anything from your side that as a just normal user, so that we have to take care of, or before visiting the site we just keep to think about it, that even it will be tracked?
Right, right. I like the way you do the study on the digital marketing. This is pretty amazing. This is pretty cool. Thumbs up. I don't see where you can give thumbs up on this particular aspect, but that's a thumbs up. As a normal user, I think you brought up a really good point. I'll give you an example. Some days back, I was looking for a ticket to go to New York from my place. I'm in
Huh.
Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was supposed to fly to New York, right? And then I was searching for a ticket, and in ABC site or something, not to name someone. And
Hmm.
then it turned out to be
Hmm.
you're looking for a best deal, right? I mean, you were just making up your mind
Hmm.
15 days, month back, that whether you wanted to go or not.
Exactly.
Turned out to be 2 3
Hmm.
days. I'm just searching for the same block, from flight from Raleigh to New York and back and forth kind of thing, looking for the same specific time and everything. Happened to be in 2 days the prices are gone up.
Hmm.
And that happens
Oh,
because of this click tailgate kind of thing, right? They
right.
actually sees that how much of a click we are getting from this particular area, from this to this. So as a normal user, this is what I do.
Ah.
This is what I do, and that's why I feel like I am really lucky, because in the back end we kind of build that kind of an application. So I know what exactly I'm coding. I know what algorithm I have put it, so I can bypass that algorithm, right? So so as a normal user, what I generally do is, if I know that I'm going somewhere, or if I wanted to buy something, let's say I wanted to buy a movie ticket
Right.
or something, then I'll just
Ah.
get a glimpse over it, but I don't hog over that particular website. If you start doing that, it's like a boomerang. You
Absolutely.
hog over that website, it's gonna come back and haunt you only. So for me as a
Because
normal user,
I'll interrupt you. I'll interrupt you
sure, sure, sure,
because now it is going on a very interesting point. Uh,
sure.
I doubt how many Indian companies are doing all these things. Like Etihad can be doing over there, but I don't know it is doing here or not. So do you know that which, like, is this the trend among the companies in India as well? Because
I
it's a very
definitely think
interesting
so.
point you have said.
I
Uh-huh.
definitely think so. And that's why I feel like I'm kind of privileged, but because we kind of study in India, and then we kind of get the concept and everything, and I get to see the opportunity here, being in US, to see that where the trend is going, and we know that we
Yeah.
generally catch up that trend really fast. I seriously
Hmm.
think that it's gonna come in couple of years there also, because it's very
Oh,
difficult to kind of attend every user on one-on-one basis. So you have to have that
right.
automated system, and that automated system cannot be annoying system. Uh, uh,
Absolutely.
that has to be really point blank kind of system. So I personally think that it is going to come really soon, that those kind of things will come really soon. I mean, you would see that people started buying stuff more on online, and Big Bazaar would start promoting those things. Maybe the tools would be different. Like in here,
Yeah.
the tools are more in terms of digital aspect. Like we have a Fitbit. On Fitbit, they are thinking about something like putting some advertisement on that one. Maybe we might not have that many health conscious people or over health conscious people in India, but eventually it will
Yeah.
come up to that point. So I personally think that it
Right.
will come. So I think it's really good time for us, like people like our technology and those people, to kind of focus really well on this kind of thing, like the user profiling or the data mining and the digital marketing and everything, because eventually that's going to come and it will be big hit over there.
It is like again. See, there are few issues. What I see that, because I listen to so many people of America, and they are the trendsetter in the field of digital marketing. And when I see to the people over here in India, they are still like they are on the very early stage. They are on the very naive stage of this field. So a very small little things they get fascinated about. For an example, if you go to Chrome, there is a setting like you can go into incognito window.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when they click on the incognito window, they feel that I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm using the incognito window, I'm safe. Nobody's going to track me. So do you have any idea about how these incognito windows work? And do you think that the data would remain safe even if I'm into incognito window?
So it depends upon incognito, which browser you're using it, because now Internet Explorer also has the incognito mode versus Chrome also. And to
Yeah.
answer that, I cannot say 100%, because what are their policy, what are their fine print in asterisk that you agree to.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, in this age and time, and it was before also, 10 years before also, what goes on an internet stays on an internet, right? I mean, you cannot destroy it. So I would say that always those things. You cannot just assume that your data is always safe. I mean, you cannot just assume that when you're going on an incognito mode, the cookies are not enabled, or actually cookies are and everything is disabled, but your data is completely safe. I cannot say 100% on that one. So again, I can answer as
Okay.
an professional one thing, that of course incognito is much better than what you're doing it, especially when you're working with the
Yeah.
sensitive data in terms of your bank
Right.
information or your Aadhaar card information, or the any government stuff which you're doing it. But then
Yeah.
don't just
Right.
assume that anything which is going to come over there, it's completely protected. As a user, if I wanted to answer, I would say that hey, start using incognito as much as you can.
Hitesh, do you like? There are some websites which allows you to go with the anonymous, so you can go inside as an anonymous user. Little bit knowledge. I think that is known as the explicit profile. I don't know whether I'm correct or not. Explicit profiles. So what if I'm entering into any website with the, because like whenever we check the Google Analytics to understand what kind of traffic we are getting on the website. So every now and then there are so many data available, but Google also says not known, not known. So that not known is always creating so many questions in our mind. So does it mean that Google is not able to understand that the data comes from which source, or they are coming from some anonymous source? So how to deal with this anonymity? So is it fine that I'm not logging it, or is it fine that even if I'm going anonymous, my data is not safe?
So I think good point, because when working with Lenovo, we realized we were working on one of the product where we are collecting the data from the outside source and everything. And most of the time, many of the company, you won't believe it, not Google. I mean, there are thousands of company who actually collects the data these days, and you can buy the
Right.
data from them. And many of the time,
Yeah.
it is very true that the data comes as an anonymous or unknown kind of thing, right? So I'll tell you what, for technical people who wants to massage the data, as I mentioned earlier, also they wanted to work with the data and try to carry out or try to extract out important information out of it, it is very difficult. I mean, they wouldn't be able to get any information out of it. I mean, we had to completely discard
Right.
that data because you cannot
Right.
make a meaningful decision out of it. So we kind of discard that data if there is too much anonymous or anything. So to coming back to the question, what you asked, that is it helpful as a user for us to log in into something which is anonymous? Absolutely yes, because even Google
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to get your information that what is your user ID or something like that. So they are fine. But can they track you? Yes, they can track you in a sense of not particular you, but they can track your IP address, they can track your GPS location and everything. So
Maybe MAC
I'll
address also.
MAC address also. So
The
what they can definitely
yeah, yeah.
right. So what they can definitely do is, suppose, let's say, I'll give you an example. Suppose, let's say you are buying something and you are buying something from Flipkart or Amazon or something, and you say that I just wanted to enter as a guest user, right? So you enter as a guest user and you do your checkout and everything. You put your credit card information and you say, consider me as an anonymous. Now, you're right that as an anonymous user, you're getting a privilege that, your name would not be displayed. But I hope we understand that,
Absolutely.
once you log in back again with the same computer, and then you're logging back with the same computer with the same IP address, it's going to pop you up saying that, hey, last time you
Yeah.
bought the filter from us, buy the refrigerator now, something like that. So again, the
Right.
answer is very tricky. Being anonymous is going to help you, but
Right.
only probably, I mean, let's say the impact of you logged into a website. And I'm again talking about the website which are reliable, which we frequently use, like a bank and Amazon or shopping. I'm not talking about every Tom and Dick Harry website kind of thing. We are not talking about that. That is very dangerous. You're not supposed to do it. But let's say you are doing it for the regular website or something. I generally prefer that if I know the website really well. Suppose, let's say I know Bank of America, or let's say ICICI really well, then I always prefer to be as a logged in user, because there's a lot of security which goes around your login user also. So
Right.
we just had I mean, if I can take 2 minutes on that subject, we just
Absolutely.
had
Please. Please. Please.
we we had the security session just a couple of months back, or
Uh
maybe
huh.
6 months back or something. There's a guy from and this is an irony that there's a guy from Russia who actually gave us a session about the security stuff and everything, right? It's really funny. We happen to joke about among ourselves, but joke apart, I mean, he's a very talented
Right.
guy. He's a very talented guy. He actually took a session for 10, 15, 20 of us, how to build a website, which are the thing in hackers do from the background. And I'll tell you what, many of the company these days make sure that your login information, your credential information, is the first phase of making the
Oh.
system secure. So if you log in as an anonymous user with your phone number and say that transfer the money with this phone number to that phone number, I think it is not that useful, because you are bypassing one of the security layer which bank has already established. So the answer is a little bit complicated, that being anonymous obviously helps you, but it's not too much of a helpful to the trusted website where you go, or the trusted client where you go.
Okay. Oh, great. It is like when you're saying that the login, that first step is so crucial. Uh, the recent news says that now Google is going to make it compulsory for the websites to use HTTPS as their prefix from July.
Hmm.
Means everybody is supposed to purchase SSL certificate. So it is somewhere indicating that your data is not safe, or maybe the website where your landing is not safe. Does it has to do anything with the data security, or like what's your, if you can throw some light on it, that why they are making HTTPS so compulsory?
I think the answer is absolutely, is 100% because of that the people are making. We've been, as a Lenovo, we've been also hit with the same thing. I mean, it's called fish, and we've been hit with
Oh,
that. And even though we have we wanted to make sure that internal website also runs on HTTPS, because it's really easy. I mean, as a security person or the technical security person, you build a firewall and everything, you are getting smarter, but at the same time the hackers are also getting smarter, right? And
right.
you have to understand that we now, there is something called hackathon. People
Ah,
arrange it. So there are people like
yeah.
hackers can officially come and break the system, and there are companies who
Oh,
hire the hackers as a full-time employee. So anything
oh,
which, yeah. So we in this particular security session only, We had some of the people who were sitting. So this is a very funny story that, we had a couple of people out of that 25. We had a couple of people who were sitting besides us. We couldn't able to recognize them. We said, who are they? The young people, and not that much of a dadi and mucho and all. So we were like, who are these people? All of a sudden we realized that those are the official, kind of hackers that Lenovo has
Oh,
hired. So anything which we
oh,
release, that goes to them before. So they kind of try to break our
oh,
system altogether, and then put it in the market. If they certify us saying that, hey, you know what, we were not able to hack them in like 5 days or 6 days or something, then our company would officially go on board. So
wonderful.
their first check mark of, any hacking can be done on this website or not, is whether the website is secure or not, whether that is HTTPS or not.
Oh.
If not, that they have a flow chart. If not, then go this direction or that direction. So I think definitely your data is not secure the moment you put it on an,
Right,
HTTPS. That means doesn't mean your website is
right.
100% secure, but at least you are bypassing the a lot of malfunctioning there.
Right, right, right. Hitesh, before I wind up, like there is a last question from my side.
Sure.
Then it's up to you, like how much do you have something to speak on? It is about the integration of the social media with the website. Now, few years back, whatsoever website you are opening, their own login system. But now it is happening that you can log in with the Facebook login plugin. There is a Twitter login plugin. Obviously Google Gmail login plugin is available. So these three are the main login. If you go to WordPress, there's a Gravatar they are using that you can log in with that. So what I want to ask over here, that if we integrate the website with this third-party social media plugins for the login, so do you think that by logging it with social media to any website, that website would be able to go through that social media data also?
They can, technically they can, and that's how they hack. I mean, most of the time, now the system are very secure. You have a firewall that has been established by Microsoft itself, and then Google has their own, then the Chrome has their own kind of thing. So but when you log in into, any social media, not to name anyone, you log in into that. That's where, the port gets open. They can explore the information. They can Everything runs on the API, right? I mean, these days, you have
Yeah.
put your server somewhere, and the web service is communicating. So the moment, the web
Yeah.
services get hacked, they can get all the information out of it. So definitely it can be. There's a way people do it that way only. They hack the information because you have provided that information to another social media kind of thing. But then it
Ah.
depends, what kind of a social media you're using it. I mean, if you're using it like, names like Facebook or Google or something, they're very secure.
Hmm.
They are. I mean, as a normal user, I always prefer to use it as an guest user, and not use
Right.
my credentials. You experience that, right? And I was trying to use as a guest user because I wanted to make sure if I'm
Right.
doing it for one time or two time, I generally prefer to not to use my credential of somewhere else. Because technically, the moment you log in through your social media credential or your credential of Gmail onto social media or something, you are allowing them to put those advertisement into those social media also. So you are actually giving them a way that, hey, you know what, I'm logging through this one. Tomorrow, if you wanted to post something, just go ahead and post. Feel free to do that, which is scary.
Exactly. Guys, like, believe me, I can assume that people are not able to question anything because these are the points which still so unaware about. People are not so much aware about this kind of topics. And believe me, when I floated this message that Hitesh is going to speak on e-commerce user profiling, few people have asked me, what do you mean by that? What is profiling?
Right.
So, like in some case, I always feel that we in India, we are still lacking behind a lot. And in terms of the ratio, if you see the number of people who are using technology, who are using social media, who are using e-commerce platforms, but they are least aware about that, how does it happen? And that is one of the reasons that so much frauds or online frauds are happening here. So, like, are you going to do something as an Indian for the Indians
I
to
mean,
make
definitely.
people aware about all these things?
I think the answer to that cannot be no. That's number one. But definitely, I mean, that's why I kind of like this idea that, you guys are working as a team there, to make sure that, digitally awareness has to be there. And I personally think that it has to be there. The reason is because we are using the digital media a lot these days. If you think about it, the bank application is are on, and I don't think that India is lagging behind too much in terms of those things, because we are talking about billions of people who are there. So when we take out a ratio or something, the ratio would be always be low, because
Hmm.
you have to talk about numbers. You are the compare, but in
Hmm.
terms of using the technology, you always have a bigger number. So I remember that the other day I was reading some article on Times of India, and it says that we have X million people of an internet in some
Hmm.
years or something. It's 5.8
Hmm.
million or
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
I don't know
Yes,
what,
yes, yes,
or
yes,
five,
yes.
right? And that is lesser than that is
Yeah,
lesser than the population what US has it. So
absolutely.
so you can imagine that but the awareness has to be there. So I am really I think I'm really privileged. I'm really happy that I was able to talk about some of the subjects which are which kind of take place in US, and then we can bring up to that. But of course, I mean, any this kind of platform where I wanted to make sure that I can talk, or I can contribute, as in whatever experience that I have taken in this area, I can expand it. I mean, I'll definitely go ahead and do that. That would be some good cause. That's perfectly fine. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, that definitely
Great,
anywhere you
great, great,
feel
great.
it needs to be initiated, completely do that.
Absolutely. And I must say, people, that I know Hitesh from last 12 or more than that, right?
Maybe,
I
yeah.
know him
Yeah,
from last 12, 15 years now, and I
right,
have
right.
seen him grow like anything. And if you feel that you are living in a very small village of Surat, or you are living in a very small village, you have to see to him, guys, that right now he's working at Lenovo, and he's a very hardworking person. He's a self-made person. I know him very well, and the kind of knowledge he has since the days of the college, so enthusiastic. A very good cricket player, of course. I cannot forget that. So, thank you so much, Hitesh. Like, I know that you are getting late. It's morning in America, and you have to go to work. It's already 9:20 here in India as well. And there are people, like, see, I know that people are going to watch it tomorrow in the morning and afternoon. So
Sure,
I'm expecting question to be
sure,
thrown maybe in the daytime tomorrow. So
sure.
if I will not be able to give some answer, then I pass the questions to you, and I hope that you will be able to answer those
Oh
questions.
yeah, definitely. Feel free to do that. I mean, I these days I have more time. I'm working as an independent consultant now, so I have more
Wonderful.
time. But definitely, I mean, anything which you wanted to throw a question. If I have a knowledge, I'll definitely share my view on that. I always says that the
Absolutely.
doctor and lawyers always use a good word, saying that hey, are you a lawyer? And it's like, I'm practicing my lawyer. I think in computer also we need to start using that word, saying that, hey, no, I'm not a software engineer,
Absolutely.
I'm practicing my knowledge. So I think that's a
Practicing everything we are facing something new.
right. That's absolutely right. So, but thank you so much for bringing me, on board for this thing. I'm really, really happy that I was able to, say whatever you guys has question about it, or maybe what you guys are doing it. User profiling is very
Yeah,
simple. I mean, you can get many information, but it is as deep as what you wanted to learn. But anything, if you guys and
absolutely.
your team, or maybe any viewers, if they wanted to push in any question about this thing, feel free to question. I mean, I'll
Absolutely.
definitely
So
keep an eye
wonderful.
on it.
So nice of you. So nice of you, Hitesh. Guys, if you please connect with Hitesh, he is there on Facebook. As you can see, his ID is Hitesh Divyata. Although his name is Hitesh Patel, but he loves his wife so much, and that is the reason he has the combined name with his wife, Hitesh Divyata. And
Sure.
yes, anytime you can throw the questions in the comment section, even if you are going to watch it later on. I'm going to put it on the YouTube. It is right now going on live on my Twitter. It is going right now live again on my Instagram as well. So from wheresoever you are watching it, my Periscope as well. So from wheresoever you are watching it, feel free to throw questions, and I will put in forward to the Hitesh. Thank you, Hitesh, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.